This is an open letter to the top brass of YouTube. Except, it's not a letter. It's a YouTube video. Because let's be fucking honest, even the people who work at the post office send emails all the time these days, and open letters aren't usually sent through the mail anyway. Also, it's not exclusively for Susan Wojcicki, but for everyone at the top of YouTube. And yes, I did take the time to research how to pronounce your name, because I feel ya, girl. Every time someone who isn't Welsh tries to pronounce my first name, they also can't. But yeah, this is not just for Susan. This is for everyone at the top of YouTube and the people who are behind the people at the top of YouTube. So here goes. Dear top brass of YouTube, what the fuck? All of you should probably know who Jawed Karim is, but for all the people who are seeing this letter because of its openness, it's this guy.
Alright, so here we are in front of the elephants.
This is one of the 3 founders of YouTube, most famously the one starring in the very first YouTube video, which, by the way, was a dick joke. There's a town in Germany that calls itself a city and has, with all of its ancillaries, maybe 60,000 inhabitants. I spent my teenage years in that town, and when I was 16 years old and I could look out the window of the boys' home where I was staying at, over the fields in the distance on the horizon, I could see a medieval fortress. Though he had left years before I even moved there, Jawed Karim lived in the town that fortress was built around as a teenager. He got his secondary education not 5 kilometers away from the school where I got my secondary education. In other words, I have just a minimal amount of things in common with Jawed Karim. Surface level, reachy bollocks that isn't even worth mentioning at all. Yet, somehow, I have more in common with Jawed Karim than any of you top brass of YouTube, and you work at the company that he founded. Jawed Karim and his mates created something that they wanted because they understood it. It turned out very differently from what they probably had initially in mind, what with it now being basically modern entertainment personified with well-produced formats and all that, but they knew what it was about back when they founded it. And okay, maybe you do also know what YouTube was about back then when it was initially founded, when it was initially acquired by Google, but you certainly do not know what YouTube is about today. You've all this data about us, both as consumers and creators. An unimaginable amount of information that terrifies us to the core because you know more about us than our very closest friends. Yet, somehow, over the past few years, you have not made a single decision that the people you know so much about, which is us, were even vaguely, generally in favor of. Imagine that kind of track record. So quite obviously, you are either not interested in creating the experience that your consumers want, because I am not naive enough to believe that I am your customer. I know I am your product for your real customer, which is the advertisers. You explicitly take actions against what we want, the consumers, for arcane reasons that we do not understand and that you do not explain. Or you are unable to know what we want and you are supremely out of touch with how this platform operates because your methods of finding out how it does and how it ought to are not sufficient. In other words, your data is useless. Now, I am a fan of not attributing to malice what can be attributed to incompetence, and though I realize it is probably a combination of both of these things, I will be nice and talk to you as though you were incompetent instead of malicious. Don't feel insulted. I am a beast of your own creation. I am the proverbial bed you have made for yourselves, because everything you have done in the past, I don't know how many years, has been utterly incompetent. And I think the reason for this is that you have no idea what YouTube is about to the hundreds of millions and billions of people that come to this place every day for their entertainment. But worry not, top brass of YouTube, for I, the textbook definition of a small YouTuber, a man who grew up on YouTube as his primary source of entertainment and who has not watched television in years, am here to help. Number 1, and this also really is the only number, the most important thing that you do not seem to understand at all. The people on this site, creators and consumers, do not trust you. Nobody trusts you. I have never in my entire life seen people this united on anything. You've triple brackets using Nazis and die-hard Stalinist tankies, shaking hands over the idea that you, YouTube, are not to be trusted under absolutely any circumstances. That is how universally people distrust your company. Yet you act as though we do trust you, or at least as though we should, because you're such a nice, young company that has all the content and all the modern entertainment formats that we want to see. So we should engage in some form of perverse corporate patriotism. Whenever there is a problem, you either do not respond at all, respond inappropriately, or create horrible, uninformative, and frankly insulting videos starring bland faces who have been focus tested to look relatable. We're not 12 anymore, YouTube. That is not how you build trust with people, especially when there is no trust to be built off of in the first place. It has, over time, become clear that YouTube will replace television eventually. The younger people are, the more YouTube they consume, and there are older people going over to YouTube from television every day. Even you seem to have understood this, but in your unfathomable incompetence, you have concluded that to replace television, YouTube must become like television. And that, dear top brass of YouTube, is the big one. The single largest factor that leads me to believe that you do not understand what YouTube is about. People do not come to YouTube because it allows them to watch television shows on their own schedule. We have Netflix for that. People come to YouTube to see things they cannot see on television. They come here to see things that are too edgy for broadcast, too niche to take up time slots, too odd to pass focus tests, too long to captivate single block attention spans, too short to be noticed, too real to be fake. An on-demand video content distribution system takes advantage of the internet's greatest superpower. There are tens of thousands of people worldwide interested in any given niche subjects, and they have very specific and very varied tastes. In the age of television, where everyone had to share the same broadcast time, those people could not be serviced, even though ultimately there were many of them. The internet has bypassed this problem. There are no longer a shared pool of broadcast minutes that needs to be adjusted to what the majority of people would like to see. Everyone can watch whatever they want to watch at whatever time of day it pleases them. Why then do you use your high-end algorithms in which you invest billions upon billions of dollars to promote the blandest and most broadly marketable content to people? This is the exact opposite of what makes this platform good in the first place. You have, from day one, had access to the most powerful algorithm ever created. Humans making choices on a mass scale. That is what the YouTube homepage used to be. A repository of what the videos that people on the platform were finding interesting, and not a bullshit trending tab, doctored with to present the content a stupid fucking computer decided was the most marketable. Then you have the personalized algorithms which show me what I want to see, yet somehow they rarely actually do, instead pushing out the content that I know I want to see and have subscribed to into corners where I will not see it anymore. For every interesting channel I have found in my recommendations, I found 10 new interesting channels from shoutouts the channels that I was already subscribed to gave. And this whole algorithm tactic is a major reason why people do not trust you. Probably the main one. Even if tomorrow you changed the algorithms in a way that they did work better than humans and showing me what I want to watch, I would still not enjoy the experience because I do not trust you. What almost everyone in every branch of the tech industry seems to have forgotten in this algorithm craze that we've been caught in for probably almost 20 fucking years is that people like to be in charge of their own experience. If you take that away from them, say for instance by, I don't know, fucking around with the last bastion of control they had over their experience of being on YouTube, the subs feed you've been trying to destroy and take away from us for years, people don't like that. We do not like to feel like drones. We want to be in charge of our lives. I know what I want to watch better than you ever will, YouTube. Stop treating your consumers like children. Adults do not like to be treated like children. And sure, keep your algorithms, right? Maybe make a homepage where you clearly label categories as being decided by the hive mind of consumers, and then also all the other categories that are being decided by the algorithms. And don't remove either of them ever. You need to do this to build trust with your audience, with us, your consumers. So don't try to fuck around with those human-controlled categories either. Because remember what Gabe Newell said, you cannot lie to the internet. And historically, YouTube has been a great example of why you shouldn't lie to the internet. Be it, we do not sandbag, or no, people are never automatically unsubscribed, or no, we do not shadow ban. All of these things have been demonstrated to be lies by people who are smarter than you. On the internet, there is always someone who is smarter than you. And I understand why you do all this. I know why you demonetize, why you blacklist, why you delete entire genres of content. Old media knows that you will replace them, and that is why they are attacking you by trying to take away the real customers, the advertisers. These advertisers understand YouTube even less than you do, which is incredibly impressive, so they throw a hissy fit whenever they see their ads being played back against edgy content, because of course they do. But guess what? What they believe is not representative of the common culture. And that goes double for the old media, for what we like to call the old media, because they have a vested interest in using every dirty trick in the book to try and retain power over what the public thinks. But the only place they truly control is old, wealthy people, which, to be fair, that is where the advertising money is. So I understand your conundrum. I made a whole video on it. I have empathy with your situation, YouTube brass. But here's the thing. Old media is dying, and it continues to die, because they cannot do what YouTube can do, and they will never be able to do what YouTube can do. So the eyeballs will all be on the internet. And where the eyeballs are, the advertisers will have no choice but to follow. Right now, you are trying to placate them by becoming more clean, more like old media. But that only serves to put you in the same category as the old dying media, which is the losing side. You are not turning a profit anyway. What is stopping you from standing by the future of delivering content to people without apologies? Why are you bowing down before people who will eventually come crawling to your feet if only you stand your ground? Now is the time to sail your ship out onto the stormy sea, because otherwise you will be crushed against the rocks by the returning tide. You may think yourself safe right now in your monopoly of online content distribution, but people also used to think that MySpace was completely irreplaceable. And we now live in a world where some people watching this video just went, what the fuck is MySpace? I would love to stand with you on the battlefield in the war against the old media, fighting the old way that things have been done, fighting through the horde of anachronistic cadavers standing between us and a future where people can see what they want to see over what media moguls want them to see. But so far, all you have done is execute entire platoons of your own soldiers, siding with the enemy over your own troops. How could you even begin to ask for a modicum of trust from us? Everyone on YouTube is aching for someone to replace you, for a new platform to come along so they can stab you in the back for all the betrayals you have inflicted upon them. I don't think you understand just how precarious your situation is. People are going to Pornhub, and the advertisers are following them there. Imagine that. I can tell you why. It's because Pornhub does not try to fight its enemies by becoming its enemies. I know that you have at least a few rooms in that fancy campus of yours dedicated to sabotaging your competition. And if you deny it, I will not believe you, because I do not trust you. Isn't it amazing that people will believe me, a person who has never even been to the United States of America or the American continent at all, more on what goes on in your own house than you, even if you were to show them video evidence? Does that not speak to the degree to which people have come to not only distrust, but hate you, YouTube? This is my open letter to you, YouTube brass, especially you, Susan, because you are at the end of the day the boss. So Either have the balls to stand with us and march into the future, or find yourself having a rude awakening at some point you will not see coming, because you will feel your company descend into the same corner of Hades where MySpace is currently making pina coladas. All you need to do is be the marketplace. Don't try to sell us anything. People will set up their stalls. Other people will come and buy product from them. All you have to do is collect your share of the proceeds. Thank you very much for watching this video, everyone. Even the top brass of YouTube, of course, but probably they're not going to watch this video, not because I'm such a small channel, but because, let's be fair, they probably don't watch YouTube. Do all the things, subscribe, tell me what you think, and also consider checking out my 2 other channels where I do narration and gaming content. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter. Consider donating to my Maker Support or PayPal. And I think this is actually now the only time, because I'm using the paper now, that I have listed off every single thing that is in the doobly. No, actually no, also you have to join my Discord server. And YouTube brass, please turn off the video now, because what comes now is only an affectionate term for people that I appreciate, and I do not appreciate you. In that spirit, have a great day, everyone, and see you around, cunts.